Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my new series, mini-series. We are going to be deconstructing Balanchine's iconic Serenade. This is sort of the crown jewel of New York City Ballet, and it is one of his most famous ballets, one of his most beautiful ballets. I myself danced it many times, and it is so very special. And if you've never seen it before, you are missing out. I'm actually going to link this performance in the box below. This is the tour that New York City Ballet did to Madrid, I believe in 2018, somewhere around there. This is part of a triple bill that PBS is still letting you see the full episode. I don't know how long it will be there, so I encourage you to go and watch that full ballet, maybe even the entire production. It's 2 Balanchine and 1 Peck ballet, Justin Peck ballet. And the whole performance is there. I encourage you to go look at it because it's stunning. So because this is about a 35 minute ballet, we're gonna do this in sections. Otherwise, this video is gonna be like 4 hours long. So we're gonna do each movement as a separate video. So today we're gonna look at the first movement. Serenade was first choreographed in 1934 on the students of the School of American Ballet. It's the first ballet Balanchine choreographed in America. Not his first ballet ever, but the first one done in America. And famously, he did it on the school and not on professionals. Now, of course, it has become the almost calling card for New York City Ballet. And he reworked it many times. And one of the things I find really interesting about it is he did not use the score, Tchaikovsky's Serenade for Strings, in order. He actually did first movement, second movement, fourth movement, third movement in terms of the order. So if you go and just listen to the score itself, the pieces are arranged differently, but he put the last movement as the third so he could finish with that beautiful 𝐿𝐴𝐺𝐿𝐴, which is my favorite part of the score. I do these deconstructions, we did Nutcracker, not to ruin the magic. So if this ruins the magic for you, please click away. Bye, see you later. But I hopefully want to give you an appreciation of all these incredible ballets. That's why we do this. This is not to ruin it for you. So if you do feel that these are going to ruin some magic for you, don't watch this until you've seen the ballet. But if you want more details, keep watching. And again, this is to give you an appreciation of this choreography. Like I said, this is City Ballet's Tour Madrid. This aired on PBS. Shout out to them for this video. I will link the entire performance below, and let's go. I have to say, dancing this ballet is so rewarding. It's so fulfilling and special, and there is nothing like standing there in that opening position as the curtain comes up, and some nights you hear a gasp, some nights it's just, you can hear a pin drop. It's really interesting, depends on the day, what you're gonna hear. Here we go. Look at that curtain. Can we take a moment and look at the curtain? Oh my goodness. This moment, so iconic. So this was inspired by the orange grove trees in California. He loved that look, and so that's what this formation is. And the story goes that the first day of rehearsal, one of the dancers was blocking the sun from her face in the studio, and he went, that's how we're going to start. So that's the opening pose. I love the lighting in this too, just super special. The goal here, of course, is to stay together. And it is so obvious if you mess it up. So obvious. And I love this because this looks, this is a bunch of women, and then through this little opening section, we become dancers. So the arm drops, feminine, then arm drops to first, or preparatory position, I should say, fifth en bas. And then the feet turn out. Also, you get one shot for that. You can't shuffle your feet. They tell you that when you're rehearsing this. They're like, don't move. Open your feet and don't move. And that is which has happened. If you go early, it's real obvious. To some people, that's happened before. Tendu, so then we close into fifth, see, and then we become a dancer looking up at the heavens. The lights change. Ah, that was nice. Super together. See, it's so effective when you're together on this, and that's something that's drilled into you. Round. Okay, so see, this girl ends up in the wing, but she keeps, fun fact, she keeps going. So from here, whoever this is, because there's 17 women to start. There's 17. So if you are this girl, because the nature of the step takes you into the wing, she just has to keep going. She does not stop. So you can see her right there. She keeps going even though you can't see her. And then right here, one girl runs away. So we start with 17, and then in order to make an even 16, I'm not sure who it is, somebody blonde runs off stage right there. It's not one of the principals, it's just one of the core members. He used who he had at the time. I'm ashamed to say, because of how recent this is, I don't know many of these dancers anymore. So I'll shout out who I know, but I don't know many of the young newbies. It's really exciting though. Okay, that right there is Olivia McKinnon. I believe this is her sister, Mary Thomas McKinnon. We all went to the same studio. I grew up with them. I grew up with the McKinnon sisters. I remember helping both of their classes while we were all there. I think I'm maybe like 6 or 7 years older than Olivia and quite a bit older than Mary Thomas, and I remember helping their little classes. So they're both soloists now, so shout out to the McKinnon sisters. I love the simplicity of this to start. Okay, here comes the waltz girl. This is Unity Phelan, the stunning Unity Phelan. This is all she does in this first movement until the end. She comes out in this entrance, and her big moment is the last 3. So that's all we'll see her. Okay, I want to actually clue you in on this step because it's harder than it looks. So, saute, failli. Let's watch in slow motion. It's saute, failli, brush, straight leg grand jeté, land an arabesque. You don't get a glissade and you don't get a développé. So watch. I'm going to go in slow motion. Brush, straight leg, land, step through. Second girl goes saute, failli, straight leg, no glissade, land an arabesque, and through. And it's in tight quarters. So I just remember kind of always feeling like on that step. He plays with formations here. Yes, that is Mary Thomas. That's Mary Thomas. He plays with formations here, which I love. The very, very, very famous position, which we're gonna talk about Indiana in a second, but can we give an appreciation for this poor girl who has to stay in this back bend for a solid 2 or 3/8? It's a lot. Even the girls in the fourth, like this poor girl. I remember being like one of these in the back. I had it easy. But this poor girl is in this full back bend for like, not a long time, but not a short time. So, Russian Girl is Indiana Woodward, principal dancer. Stunning. Ashley Bowder, also very famous for this part. Megan Fairchild, famous for this part. Here too. This little step is tricky. And the other hard thing about this, you guys, are the dresses. Because they're so long, it's a lot of tulle in the way. They're very light, but the tulle is often in the way. So she does saute, jeté. Look at her height. She beats this way up there. Look at that photograph. Like, see how she's on this angle. Again, it's hard to see in the dress. Sometimes it doesn't give you the full line. So tour jeté, tour jeté, tour jeté, land, and step backwards. So it's 3 sort of tour jetés in a row and then have to land that one. Reaching. This roll, 99.9% of the time, is short girl. For your information. Russian Girl is short. Dark Angel is tall. Waltz Girl is anywhere in between. Waltz Girl is kind of the one you can go back and forth. Russian Girl is always short because it's so jumpy and so hard. I don't think I've ever seen anybody tall do it. Maybe 𝘂𝐶𝑎, maybe, but I've never seen anybody tall do this part. Beautiful. Lots of patterns in this, lots of formation. The heart of this ballet is the core. The heart of this ballet is the core. They do the most of anyone, actually. You're pretty cooked by the end. See here too, another thing about these dresses is you have to mimic the way the skirt moves in your upper body. So you're going to see a lot of this kind of, instead of straight up and down in fifth in a susu, we're very, very tilted because the skirts have that. So you can't look stiff in these skirts. You have to mimic the skirts. I just find this so interesting because this is sort of one of the geniuses of him. Look, this is not a perfectly symmetrical stage situation. We're not doing, I think there's 14 women, 15 women, something like that at this point, because some of them have also exited. He didn't do like half the stage and half the stage. He did, 9 over here and 6 over here. So he's even in 1934 playing with different formations than your typical classical ballet. That's why this was so revolutionary at the time. Because if you watch Serenade today, you're very much like, oh, this is pure ballet. This is classical. It's still considered neoclassical because it's not Sleeping Beauty, Swan Lake, one of the 𝘵𝑒𝑑𝑒𝑃𝑜 ballets in typical tutus. So this was very modern in 1934 for this sort of reason. But nowadays, what's so incredible about it is it still works in 2025. Even though it's not so new anymore, it's still this stunning piece of art. And that is why so many of Balanchine pieces have lasted over time. 𝐵𝑒𝑑𝑒𝑢𝑥𝑝, 𝐵𝑒𝑑𝑒𝑢𝑥𝑝, you're doing kind of follow along here. They do a step, they do a step, they do a step. Run off. See, they're running off. I remember being one of these girls, and it's hard to get the arms in sync. You feel a little awkward at this point. See, bend to the upper body. Keep your formation. Changing formation. Now we're in a circle. Little girl does a pirouette. Nice. That was beautiful. And then she joins them back. Again, this was so new at the time because it wasn't swans or sylphs, And see, even this particular formation, it's not, these two girls are coming out and they're not both coming across the front. What happens is, if you see, this girl comes out of this front wing, this girl comes around about 2 or 3. And so this whole section is on this diagonal as if this was front over here. And so when they go across, you see it's almost in a circle. Front is not front. See, and she even goes off in the third. Just really interesting formations. The other tricky thing about rehearsing this, and this is with any ballet where you're all dressed the same, you can't get used to looking at what color the leotard you're supposed to be behind is, because ultimately you're all in the same outfit. So you can't be like, oh, find the green leotard or find the. So, when you're all in a bun and you're all in the same dress, it can get real tricky. So you better know what you're doing, which is why this is one of the hardest ballets to get thrown into, because it's not swans where it's back and forth and front to back. It's on diagonals. We're in 6s and 9s, and we're in, we're doing different formations. So getting thrown into this one is exceptionally tricky because the spacing is not always typical and everybody looks the same. And it's just so many different, it's getting thrown in Serenade is a lot. And so at City Ballet and at most ballet companies, once the ballet is set and everybody knows it, you start rehearsing facing away from the mirror. So you really get used to where you are, where you're supposed to go without relying on the mirror of, am I in line? Who am I behind? That kind of thing. See here too, front is not necessarily front. Now we form a straight line. See, they're in a straight line, they're in a diagonal. Genius formations in this ballet. into a diagonal. This peel off is so hard to get right because you can't get ahead of the girl in front of you and you can't get behind the girl because you ruin the line, and she has to be off exactly in the right. It's just, I remember the peel off being such a thing. There, watch one more time. It has to be perfectly timed, and you have this little arabesque step to hopefully get in some semblance of a diagonal. So you do little piqué arabesque underneath yourself, being aware of your spacing, and then not rushing and not running too fast or running too slow, so everybody's in the same spot, and so the last girl gets off in the right amount of time. See how she even delayed a little bit to be on the music? I think this is Miriam Miller. Is this Miriam? Yes, it is. Long, long, long. Russian Girl's all about the long lines. Beautiful. Okay. Little detail you wouldn't notice if you weren't paying attention. The way she _𝐻𝑖𝑒𝑠 this foot from arabesque. So you have this stunning, so look at that. Hello. Hello. See, again, everything is bigger. We're not in classical lines. Everything is extended, bigger, stretched. So this leg, the way she places it through is such attention to detail, but it's also setting her up for the arabesque because she has no extra steps to get into her next balance. So let's watch in slow motion. She does the 𝐶. The leg comes through, turned out. Look at the heel. The heel is coming forward. Thank you. That is not screamed into you at City Ballet, but screamed into you at City Ballet. Look, heel forward, heel forward, heel forward, reaching through. She gets one step. That's the only prep she has. Plie, piqué, arabesque, 1, 2, 3 arms. Right, left, right. She's going to do it again. Watch real time. 𝐶 through step 1, 2, 3. Does she do a third one? No, she does not. Piqué, arabesque, 𝐕𝐢𝐝. Okay. Another stage craft you wouldn't notice. Watch when she does these little bourrées in place in a circle, turning. She's looking into the wing to see where the girl who's about to come out is, because they have to be perfectly in line. So she is on these turns, lining herself up with whoever is in the wing. Watch. Slow motion. So she does turn. Look, she's looking into the wing, looking into the wing. Where is she? She's backing up just a little bit. She sees her so that she can then do this big back bendy thing. Cover back. That, I feel like, is an iconic serenade picture right there. So she lined herself up so she's right there, because then these two come out. There's two of them. They come out there. So then there's no weird traffic patterns. Another beautiful picture. Here comes Russian Girl, Indiana. Another hard sequence. All it is 𝐳𝑫𝐻𝑖𝐻. Again, no glissade. And I say no glissade because glissade is often, it's the power. That's why it's there usually, to get power to get off the floor. She doesn't get a glissade. Watch Indiana coming out of the wing. Jeté, even there. 1, 2, no glissade. All she's doing is 𝐳𝑫𝐻𝑖𝐻s. Look at these lines. She has literally like nothing to push from, and just each time gets into that beautiful split. And then the last one, the 𝘭𝑪𝑯 changes. See, even there, look at the upper back in this jeté, mimicking the skirt right there. Oh, hang on. Marika Anderson. I was in the company with her. And that's Megan Dutton O'Hara right there. I think she got in right as I was leaving. So shout out to them. Again, apologies, I don't know most of these beautiful dancers. Okay, another hard spatially thing. When you're connected like this, back to back, watch in slow motion. Back to back, we do our 𝑃ORT-de-bras. They have to run still linked. I remember this always being a tricky section. Run still linked, switch sides so Miriam can get in the middle, in the front to there. I remember that being tricky. And this step coming up too is tricky. Pirouette. Indiana coming back out. Russian Girl. So you can see the height difference. See the height difference? Short girl, tall girl. Hops in. That's hard. That's so hard. Roll down. And then from there does a double fouette from arabesque. Not even from second. Watch. Watch this in slow motion. Again, the skirt makes it hard. This little section reminds me of Gisèle's entrance in Act 2 a little bit. The position is slightly different. Here we go. Bourrée to fourth. Okay, so she does double turn. 1, 2. Opens up arabesque like yan dun 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 dun, that part. Then from arabesque she finds front double fouette, or one more, sorry. Double fouette, one more, sorry. Hang on. There it is. Double fouette from arabesque into the lunge. That is so hard because she doesn't get the second. She has to go directly from the arabesque. Watch one more time because she does a lot more hops than I thought she does. Hop, hop, hop. There, double fouette to there. Miriam does the same thing. Gisèle, so Gisèle. This part is really challenging. You have to get in and out. It's very awkward to get in and out. And then right from here, another hard thing. Double pirouette from fifth with no prep. Okay, watch this section. I remember this being one of the tricky spots in this ballet. So what happens is, let's watch in slow motion. So she goes back. They do a little sauté around each other, legs in devant, through. Sauté around each other, leg in the front. Don't crash. It's basically a quarter of a circle, or 3/4 of a circle, sorry, 3/4 of a circle. They do one more around. She goes lunge, soutenu, right to fifth, double pirouette to fourth. Super fast too. Super fast. Watch this in real time. I want you to appreciate how tricky this is. This is why it was so crazy in 1934. There are no preps for things. Like we've seen, the straight jeté, the Russian girl coming out of the wing with 𝐵𝐷𝐻𝐻 with no glissade. Here, she has barely any prep for this turn. So Miriam does around. Second set. Third set. Fourth set. There. Soutenu. Fifth. Double pirouette. Fourth. Great. Indiana has such good hang time. There's like photographs in the air. Look at that. Look at that. Toes. This is what you want, dancers. See the toes coming under. I actually say this a lot. Let me rewind a little bit. When you're doing jumps, especially little jumps from fifth, don't push your toes, pull your toes. Watch Indiana's toes right here. She pulls them underneath her. 1, 2, these are 𝐶𝑠's. 1, 2, 3. I think, are they entrecots? I'm not sure. I don't know what they are. I can't remember what they are. But she pulls her toes under so she can get that tight fit and she's not having to push and pull. Watch the toes. Pull the toes. There you go. Pull the, they're 𝐶𝑠's. Yep, they're 𝐶𝑠's. 1, spotting front. Soutenu, spotting front, spotting front. Gorgeous. See, there too. Brush jeté, no brush jeté, no développé, land in arabesque without 𝐶𝐶. She gonna do it one more time? Yes. Brush there, beautiful. Slide double, chug double. These are step up turns. This roll is really hard. This roll is really, really tricky. Again, because it's a lot of skirt. It's a lot of skirt. The thing I love about Indiana too is she goes for it. She doesn't hold back. Even on that little thing, watch. She does not hold herself back on this little 𝐴𝑐𝐴 back. Back. She lets it go. Yep. And push. Reach to the fullest. All of these women reach to their fullest 𝐴𝑐𝐴. Coming in. Back to 15. 15 to the 17. Another place you don't want to get wrong. 1, 2, 3. Head roll. That was the Russian girl's rest. Find center. Then she's going to do some 𝐶𝐶 with half turns. Développé. 𝐶𝐶, 𝐶𝐶, développé. Okay, this step 2. Very little prep. Watch in slow motion. So she's finding center. She gets a little bit off, and she sees she's off, so she's going to bourrée to center. Then she goes 5th, 𝐶 half turn 1. That's also in Firebird, by the way. 2, 𝘚𝘵𝐿𝐴 out of nowhere. Kind of a half turn on that. Again, 1, half turn, 2, 𝘚𝘵𝐿𝐴. Right on her leg. Look how on her leg she is there. Up, straight up and down. And then can control the landing. Beautiful. So a lot of sauté jeté. She finally gets a rest. Bye-bye. Okay, this is the section. If you are one of these 2 girls, which I have done. I think I did this spot at one point. I think I was this one that went backwards. Maybe. One of the 2. It's a lot of piqué turns. And you get very dizzy. But they both are turning to the right. So you turn to the right. You go around each other. Next 2 come in. We're still all turning to the right. Yes, I was that girl. Find your spot in center. I was Marika's spot. Find your spot there. And then we do more piqué turns. Everybody in a circle. I want to say it's about, for them, maybe like 24 or so. Maybe more. Find your center. Sauté, run around. Okay, so you see, we needed that extra girl because he did who he had at the time. He put the people in who he had at the time. Watch, there's this one girl that comes in from the wings after the piqué turns to make up numbers. See, she sautéed in, and then she came back to do this formation. And now we're back to the waltz girl, Unity. The beautiful Unity Phelan. Legend goes, if anybody knows for sure, any ballet-inspired Balanchine experts out there, this happened. He had the Russian girl come in late, waltz girl coming in late because one rehearsal, a girl was late and ran in late to the formation. And he said, I'm going to put that somewhere. I don't think it happened right there because she's obviously the lead. Because it happened naturally. It's kind of like blocking your face from the sun. Because it happened naturally, he was like, I'm going to stick it in there. So that's how he got the idea for this. That's what I was told. If I am wrong, someone correct me. And see, they've left a spot for her. That's why in the opening, there's 17 core women. And right now, there's only 16 because the 17th is taken up by her. So there is 17 core members total in this, but they're not always all out there at the same time. So they've left the spot for her to fill in. Now this is that was a little off. This is another place you have to watch peripherally. Peripheral vision is essential in this ballet. So what that means is when you're kind of going off stage, you're like slightly looking at the girl and like down of you, and then still being able to see the girl ahead of you so everybody walks together. They did this tendu a little bit off, but then we get it. Look, they're together. Watching the girl both up and down of you, making sure we're in line. There's Russell Jansen, love Russell. He has recently retired within the last year. He's beautiful. Has such a presence about him. Like he walks on stage and you're just like, yep, there he is. Taps her on the shoulder and says, hey, let's dance. And that's the end of the first movement. So we're going to do this in parts because I want to give it its full, due. And yeah, this is such a special ballet. It was, like we said, so revolutionary at the time. And even watching this, the different formations, the hard steps, the crazy seesaw, all this stuff, this was done on students. And now it is so iconic. It is legendary. If you have not seen this ballet, please see this ballet. Yeah, it's remarkable. It's remarkable and still so relevant in 2025. If you watch the Once Upon a Point touring video, like I said, we took this ballet everywhere. Serenade was on every tour we ever did. I don't think I ever toured without it, actually, because it's the crown jewel. It's the crown jewel. It is one of the ballets that made me want to join New York City Ballet because the corps gets to dance. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do Balanchine, is because you're not just standing there for like 30 minutes. You're dancing, you're sweating, you're in and out. It's so fulfilling to do, and there is nothing like that curtain coming up and you're standing there. Just there's like a slight breeze to it too when it comes up. So it's really, really special. So we will continue with this. I'm going to try and do this whole performance, actually, or at least the 2 Balanchine, because I've never danced any Justin Peck pieces. So I don't want to talk about a ballet that I don't know too much about, but if you guys want me to like do it and give you my thoughts, because obviously I've seen it, yeah, would love to do that too. But we're going to keep going with Serenade, and let me know what other ballets you want. If you missed that video about touring with City Ballet, it's right there. You can click it to watch. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time.